Hello and welcome to the Fifth Down Huddle. Thank you so much for tuning in. Follow on Instagram at Fifth Down Huddle. Follow on YouTube at Fifth Down Huddle. Same there, same everywhere. On BuzzSprout, on Spotify, it'll be on iTunes soon. But just tune in anywhere you want on YouTube, on iTunes, whatever you find. Just go ahead, tune in, and I appreciate it. So real quick, let's huddle up here. So Jarrett Stidham is now the new Patriots starting quarterback, or at least that's what it seems. They just signed Brian Hoyer to a one-year contract. They also have Cody Kessler, and it's kind of it's a little interesting right now because Brian Hoyer has veteran experience as a Patriot. I mean, he's been with the Patriots several times over the years, and Brian Hoyer actually started a few games last year. Jarrett Stidham has only played a few snaps in a real regular season game. But reports say that the Patriots feel that he can fill the spot, at least as an interim quarterback. And what I mean by an interim quarterback is someone who kind of just goes in and fills the spot for 1 to 2 years. And if they turn out to be a franchise guy, then go with them, you know. But the main reason you put him in is to fill the void while you look for a new quarterback, a new franchise guy, whether it be in the draft or in free agency. So yeah, an interim quarterback, that's what the Patriots believe he can do at the very least, but his trainer went out to say that he is a steal and that he has superstar potential, which partly you may be able to say that, yeah, it's just the trainer trying to give him a confidence boost. What's the trainer going to say? You know, he's average. That's kind of a bad thing to say about your own player that you're training. So it's either that or he's telling the truth. I can't tell. I can't say for sure, but it's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. And hence the Patriots saying at least an interim quarterback, because if he can be the franchise guy, then sure. But based on what we've seen so far, he hasn't proved franchise potential. And here, this kind of ties into my next point, which has to do more with my brand. Game Pass is officially free into May, I think mid-May right now, and I'm guessing if the COVID-19 outbreak continues to echo these same big impacts around the world for these months to come, I'm guessing that Game Pass will remain free. And I'm going to take a big advantage of this. I'm going to try to grind out, especially because for me, my work is out. I work at a restaurant. It's closed. Schooling is closed. It's all online now. Most likely for the rest of the year. So with Game Pass, I can take a lot of this free time and grind out as many film reviews as I can, or film analysis. And what that is say I want to do a film analysis to see where Brady's at right now in his career. I would watch every single Patriots game on Game Pass because their condensed game is about 45 minutes long. Plus you only have to watch the offense, you fast forward through the defense. But you watch every single game, you jot down the stats that other people don't take, and you kind of just look for things that the stats don't say. You know, they say, 50 whatever percent incompletion or completion percentage, but how many of those were throwaways? You know, how many of those was he pressured and had to throw it away? How many of those times did he dodge a sack and get to throw it away? Like, those things that you have to really watch the game to analyze, and that you can't really just get off a stat sheet. And then I kind of bring out some of the better plays to show my points, whether it be a bad play or a good play, but kind of the plays that bolster my points, put it on a video, talk about them, and then kind of summarize what I saw from all the games, and probably around a 20 to 30 minute video, about the same length as a normal weekly podcast. But those would show up on my YouTube channel, and I would also add a couple summaries in the actual podcast just to kind of get you guys to go check them out, because I feel like they could really, really help you guys better understand, and me, myself, to better understand these players and where they are skill-wise. So I'm going to try to take as much advantage of that as I can, and other film reviews will follow. After Jarrett Stidham, I want to do one on Jameis Winston. It really interests me, throwing 30 interceptions, 30 touchdowns. I really want to see if he actually has potential to be a franchise guy, or if, honestly, he can't throw very well unless he's going all Hail Mary every play. So that'll be interesting to look through. And just other quarterbacks, and I'll take requests from you guys as well. It doesn't just have to be quarterbacks, and be running backs, receivers, etc. Teams as a whole, defenses. Anything you guys want me to review, I will put in the time to, because I have a lot of time right now. just ask and I will produce for you. I'm planning to have that Jarrett Stidham film review out by the end of this week. Best case scenario, Thursday morning, because I'm going to spend a lot of time tomorrow working on it. A little bit of time tonight just to watch maybe the first 2 games of the preseason tonight, take notes on them, and then tomorrow watch the other 2 games and just a couple stats from the regular season, and then take notes on them, and then Wednesday night edit, start making the video process where I talk about it with the microphone, and then Thursday morning post. So yeah, go watch out for that on YouTube. Again at Fifth Down Huddle. And yeah, also follow the Instagram page. That'll let you know whenever I post a podcast or one of those film review videos. So yeah, go check it out. And now we're going to move on to the next big topic of the week. So Tom Brady is with the Buccaneers. Seems like all that anyone's talking about right now is Tom Brady going to the Buccaneers. Now, a big question that I'm guessing you guys are here to hear me say is, how do I feel about this? How do I think Tom Brady's going to do? So let's look at this. He has Brate and Howard at tight end. Let's compare that to this past year's Ben Watson and Matt LaCosse, and Ryan Izzo, I guess, is a third-string guy. But he had the bare minimum at tight end this year, a 38-year-old guy who came out of retirement, a no-namer who hasn't started a full season, and then a guy who hadn't really started any games before this season in Izzo. So that's what he had at tight end last year. And the Patriots had one of the lowest, if not the lowest, tight end receiving yardage out of the entire NFL. So I think having that tight end back, you guys have seen what he does with Gronk. O.J. Howard, he's a great tight end, and I think Brady could really utilize him well, same way he utilized Gronk. And then you go to the wide receiver position, Godwin and Evans, both there. You compare that to this year's, he had Mohamed Sanu for half a season, Julian Edelman for the full season. Julian Edelman was really the only receiver he had for the entire season, besides Philip Dorsett. But Philip Dorsett had a couple shining moments, but then kind of fluttered out. He had N'Keal Harry, but N'Keal Harry never really produced much besides 3 catches in a game for, 30 yards. But you can't really blame N'Keal Harry. I think he's going to go on to be a better receiver, at least a number 2 receiver, number 3 maybe. Because he was injured for the majority of the year. He came in mid-season. It's kind of hard to get into the groove with the team when you come in mid-season, so I understand that. But just comparing it to last year, it's going to be a massive improvement. And I don't think we've seen Brady with so many offense. I mean, at the beginning of this season, it's kind of interesting because at the beginning of this season, we were all talking about, oh my God, Brady's got all these weapons. Antonio Brown, Demaryius Thomas, Josh Gordon, Julian Edelman. It's going to be insane, and Gronk may come back. And then fast forward 4 weeks into the season, he's down to Edelman and Dorsett, really. And N'Keal Harry on the way to the comeback. But Demaryius Thomas was cut for Antonio Brown. Then Antonio Brown had to go. Josh Gordon had to go through midseason. And it's sad because there was a lot of potential in that offense, and it all fluttered away pretty quickly. It was just a case of bad luck on the part of the Patriots. And I hope that doesn't happen this year. I don't think it will, because I think the difference is we all know that Godwin, Evans, Brate, and Howard, they've all been on the Buccaneers for a little while now. So we know that they can at least stay on the team, and now that they have a good quarterback, they're going to have a much higher want to stay on the team and to actually push harder, because they got a guy who can throw them an accurate ball. And then they have a solid running back. Not a very well-known guy, but they have a solid core that I think can do well if they have a solid pass game. Kind of the same as the Patriots running game from not this year, but the past year, and Sonny Michel's rookie year. It wasn't amazing, but he had a few 100-yard games in there. This year, Sonny Michel didn't break 100 yards at all this season. But yeah, it's and let's talk about the Tampa Bay defense. I feel like there's a big misnarrative there. They talk about the defensive stats, points per game that you let up. Well, it's hard to not let up a lot of points per game when your quarterback's averaging 2.5 picks a game. If you keep getting 30 interceptions, if you keep getting put in these situations where you're backed up at your own 20 to start the drive, or and the other offense gets to start on your 20, it becomes very hard not to let up points, because that gives yourselves about 2 downs to come up with a stop compared to the 6 or 7 downs that most defenses normally have. And I personally feel like the Buccaneers have been close to a playoff run for years. The record may not show that. I mean, they went 7-9 this past year, and then 5-11 2 years in a row, and then 7-9 before that. So the record doesn't show it all that well. But I think the big problem with the Buccaneers has been, one, the coaching. The coaching hasn't been enough to overcome the quarterback. And 2, the quarterback. They haven't had a solid quarterback in a long time with Jameis Winston, and it's sad because they have a great offensive roster, and they threw a lot of pass yards, but those interceptions just killed them again and again and again. You look at it, Jameis Winston's first career pass was a pick 6. His last career pass with the Buccaneers, pick 6. It's kind of a poetic summary to his entire career. But yeah, the record doesn't show that, but the problem has always stood in the quarterback position. The quarterback directs the game like a movie, tweaking things as he goes, and the game flows through him like water through a faucet. I mean, if he gets hot, then the water gets hot. You know, it flips back and forth. If he gets cold, throwing 30 interceptions, the team gets cold. And we saw that with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've seen that before with other teams. And sometimes in rare situations, like the 2008 Patriots, where they went 11-5 with Matt Castle, the coach can sometimes overcome the quarterback and put up a decent season, a playoff season, with a below-average quarterback. But when your coach isn't stupendous, like Bill Belichick, or like past coaches that have also done that, then it becomes insanely difficult to find success if you don't have a quarterback who can stay at least lukewarm before getting cold 2.5 times a game. Now, I'm not saying that the team can't work, but I am saying that it becomes insanely difficult for it to work, for it to flow, if there's this roadblock in a quarterback that can't seem to work well. And I don't know. It's really tough because the quarterback position, it's not really overrated. You know, I mean, the offensive line, every other position on the team is, I believe, underrated. But the quarterback position is not overrated because the quarterback is the only player that majority of the games touches the ball every single play. And of course, touching the ball doesn't necessarily mean importance because the offensive line is insanely important. They don't ever touch the ball. But my point is that if the quarterback is not playing a good game, it becomes insanely hard for the rest of the team to. Unless you have an insane run game, it becomes insanely hard for the rest of the team to flow. So what it ultimately comes down to for the success of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is whether or not Tom Brady stays elite. Now, I believe he can, but hence the I believe. Yeah, I don't know for sure. You know, the cliff is always going to come for every quarterback. I'm a Patriots fan. I'm a Tom Brady. I like the guy. He's my favorite quarterback in the NFL. But I can admit that a cliff comes for every quarterback. Now, Tom Brady's cliff may be postponed due to his TB12 method, but that doesn't make him invincible. And by cliff, just to clarify, I mean the day his body simply doesn't have the stamina to play a 16-game regular season as a starting QB. I've said this before, and I'll say this again. A lot of people take a cliff. They kind of don't really understand it. It doesn't mean that the quarterback, he doesn't know how to throw a ball anymore. Throws 5 yards off every single play. Because a 60-year-old Brett Favre, I'm sure, can still throw. I mean, I don't think he's 60, but when he turns 60, I'm sure he'll still be able to throw a good football 50 yards down a field, an accurate ball. But that's not it. I mean, when you're playing, 60 snaps a game, 16 games a season, that becomes insanely hard to do if you're at that age limit, and if your body's like, man, I can't do this anymore. And you got to account for practices during the midweek, staying up late studying film, just all the stress and all the anxiety and all the pressure and the workload that comes with playing a starting quarterback in an NFL season. If you don't have the stamina to do that, then that's your cliff. It's not being able to throw the ball anymore. It's about that stamina. If you don't have that, then you can't be the starting quarterback anymore. We saw that in Peyton Manning in his last year where he won the Super Bowl, carried by his defense. Now, to be 100% honest, he didn't kill the team. And I'm not saying Peyton Manning was basically on crutches while the defense just scored over and over. While the defense was amazing, Peyton Manning didn't kill the team. He put up as many points as he needed to, didn't do anything amazing, anything eye-catching, but he put up enough points he needed to win a Super Bowl. And we saw, he ran out of that stamina. And I think that's going to come eventually for Tom Brady. It's going to come. And like I said, it might be postponed due to his TB12 method, pliability, but it's going to come nonetheless. It's inevitable for any quarterback. And I think the Tampa Bay offense has potential to one-up the Chiefs, but again, it all comes down to those expectations that we all have for an offense like that. That means Godwin needs to not fall and all of a sudden not play good. Evans needs to keep playing that high potential. Brait, Howard, they need to keep playing. The run game needs to be solid. The offensive line, if the offensive line is terrible, then a lot of this could be fluttered away. This could fall all out of reach if that offensive line is terrible this year. So a lot of expectations, a lot of holes need to be filled in order for this great offensive season to happen. And it all starts with Tom Brady, the quarterback position. The director of each of those 16 movies during the season starts with him. And I would love to do a film review on it. We were talking about film reviews earlier. Thinking about that right now, I'm going to do a film review on Tom Brady this year. I'm going to see, just how good is he, or how good was he this past year, because that will very much help us to understand if he can continue to be elite with an elite offense, or if he will only drag that offense down. So, moving on to kind of a subtopic here of, the Tom Brady situation. He left New England, so let's turn back to New England. Can Bill Belichick win without Tom Brady? We haven't seen Bill Belichick without Tom Brady for nearly 20 years, except for that 2008 season, and that's what I'm going to focus on here. Let's look towards that 2008 season. So we all know, or if you aren't informed, Bill Belichick went 11-5 with Matt Castle at quarterback because Tom Brady tore his ACL in week 1. They went 11-5. They were second in the AFC East, and they didn't qualify for the playoffs. Wes Welker and Steven Gostkowski were Pro Bowlers. It was in a season opener. Quarterback Tom Brady, the NFL's MVP in 2007, he suffered a torn anterior cruciate ligament against the Chiefs and missed the remainder of the season. So then backup quarterback Matt Castle replaced Brady. Castle led the team to a win in week 2, and then throughout the season, they went on to 11-5. Now, despite entering the last week of the season with a 3-game winning streak, the Patriots did not control their own destiny. It was mainly due to a mathematical thing, because the Ravens, the Patriots, and the Dolphins all had an 11-5 record by the end of the season, but Miami qualified for the playoffs by winning the AFC East division over the Patriots on the 4th divisional tiebreaker, because the Dolphins had a better conference record, 8-4 compared to 7-5, and Baltimore qualified for the playoffs as a wild card team, based on the second wild card tiebreaker, which was a better conference record. Now, because of this, the Patriots were out of the playoffs for the first time since 2002. But it's a really interesting question, because you look at that season and you say, well, man, Matt Castle is the quarterback? Jeez. They went 11-5, didn't make the playoffs due to a mathematical, anomaly. But, man, it really begs the question, can Bill Belichick win without Tom Brady? Now, Matt Castle threw over 3,000 yards that season, didn't kill the team, kind of like Peyton Manning, had a better touchdown-interception ratio than Peyton Manning in his last season, but nonetheless, he didn't kill the team. Now, Bill Belichick is a great coach. Okay, you have to look at this different from other teams. The Broncos lost Peyton Manning. They weren't as good because the coach could not overcome not having a good quarterback. We look at other teams that have lost quarterbacks over the years, and we just see time and time again, the teams don't often bounce back very well unless they find a great successor very quickly. Now, can Bill win without Brady? I personally think he can. He's a great coach. And offense isn't everything. You look towards the Patriots defense, they have never had a whole ton of superstars on that defense at one time. And they've had solid players, but haven't had guys like Khalil Mack or J.J. Watt on that defense. Maybe you can account for Stephon Gilmore, but he was really a no-namer before he came to New England. And you have to account that, well, if he was not very good before New England, then he came to New England, there's got to be something about that coaching that was able to bring that potential out of him to be the best cornerback in the NFL. And I think Bill Belichick, his mastermind thing is that he finds players who simply want to win, who aren't worried about the money, who aren't worried about being number one on the team, that they're just worried about doing their job and winning the Super Bowl. He finds players like that, and then he brings their full potential out of them. And now a reason why a lot of players take pay cuts for the Patriots is because they like winning. Those are the types of players that Belichick wants on the Patriots. All these no-namer guys, these no-namer guys like winning. They're not the type of guys to elevate a team above average, but what they will do is if everyone's doing your job, then your team can be above average. Because on other teams, you have guys that can't do their job, that don't do a good job doing their job, and you have some players that do an astounding job at it on other teams. There's kind of that mismatch. But on the Patriots, you don't find a whole ton of weak links. I mean, this year it was the offense because it was just a revolving door at offensive positions. But the majority of years, there haven't been a ton of weak spots on the Patriots. I mean, even all the way down to special teams. Bill Belichick has always been great with special teams because he finds players that can win. And again, he gets them to reach their full potential. And I don't know what his magic word is to get them to do that, but somehow he does it every single time. Now, again, I'll look to that film review on Stidham to see if Stidham can at least be a good starting quarterback. But I think even if he's barely average, I think Bill Belichick can still put up a winning season with that. And then that kind of transfers us into the final point of the episode. And I've been staying kind of AFC East this entire episode. And I promise I'll move on to other points around the NFL. But this has kind of been the biggest story of the week, so I really wanted to cover it. Who's going to be the AFC East champ from here on out? Because if the Patriots, yes, they can still win, but they obviously won't be as dominant without Brady dicing up zone defenses. I personally believe the Bills will be the AFC champs next year. Now, here's my prediction for the record of each team. I believe the Bills will go 12-4, win the division. Josh Allen won't have an amazing year, but the team all around is going to be solid. Every position is going to have a solid starter. Nobody amazing, but solid starters all around the team. Stephon Diggs even. And I think that's really going to bolster that passing offense. And I think the offense of the Bills is going to be much better than last year. Maybe a top 10 offense, but much better than last year. And following them come the Patriots at 10-6. I think that Bill Belichick, whoever plays quarterback, he's going to be right around that 10-6, 9-7, 11-5 record. I don't think he'll come first in the AFC East. I think the Bills will get the better of the Patriots in one of their two meetups. But I believe the Patriots will be second in the AFC East. And then following them come the Dolphins. The Dolphins just signed Howard, the running back. And man, they've added kind of quietly. They've added a lot of good starters. I mean, again, not superstars, which is why it sounds quiet, but good starting players that will help kind of put this team together. I think they have a great NFL head coach. I mean, Brian Flores last year, he showed that he can be a good NFL head coach. And I don't know, I feel like the Dolphins were kind of just on a teeter-totter of whether or not they wanted to tank last year, because there were points in the season where it just seemed like the Dolphins were not trying. And then there were other points, like the last game of the season, where it just seemed like the Dolphins were trying really hard, and they were being coached very well as if they wanted to win. And honestly, I think the Dolphins won't make the step towards playoff ready this year, but I do believe that they will make the next step towards being right on the brink of playoffs. 8-8. I think the AFC East is going to be a very interesting division next year, and the Jets come dead last at 6-10. I don't think Sam Darnold, I think he'll keep seeing ghosts. Not as many, but I think he'll keep seeing ghosts. I think that he will sit around the same statistics as last year, maybe a little bit better, but the Jets' offense and defense aren't going to come together this year. They're going to have to make some more bigger moves to find veteran leaders to be able to pull that team up to a winning record. But for now, I have the Jets sticking at around 6-10. Again, the Bills are a young, talented team, and they've added even more talent this year. They made the playoffs last year, and I think Stephon Diggs is really, really going to boost them up to become a 12-4 team. And if Josh Allen can really pull it together and show that he has the confidence to win playoff games and to win games in general off of his shoulders, I think that the Bills could be the AFC East champs for a while here until the Patriots find a successor to Tom Brady. If Bill Belichick keeps coaching, and again, another question of how long does Bill Belichick want to keep coaching for. But the Patriots have Bill Belichick. And that's the only reason I have them at 10-6 is because of Bill Belichick. If Bill Belichick wasn't there, I'd have them maybe even a losing record. The only reason I just believe Bill Belichick's going to find a way to win. Every year he's been with the Patriots, he's posted a winning record. I don't think that's going to change. I just feel like he's going to find a way to win the games he needs to win to have a playoff spot. I believe the Bills will be second. I don't know. That's a close one. I do have the Patriots and the Bills both winning, or both making a playoff spot. I think the Patriots will either be 6th or 7th in the playoff running. So it'll be a tough path to a Super Bowl. I don't think the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl next year. But, honestly, 10-6, it's really hard to get the Super Bowl off of a 10-6 record if you don't have a really good quarterback behind you. Again, the Dolphins are making strides. They're getting there. They're getting close. Dolphins fans, don't give up yet. And they haven't had a Super Bowl in a while now. But you're getting close to having a playoff spot. Their real big move that they got to make is finding a next quarterback. And whether they want to get that this year and make a blockbuster trade for the number 1 overall pick, maybe. But whether it be they draft a quarterback this year or tank for Tua, they're not going to reach that playoff potential until they find a solid starting quarterback outside of Ryan Fitzpatrick. And the Jets are just They're just they haven't made enough moves this offseason for me to grant them access to a winning record. And I think they got to find some superstar veterans for that team. I don't believe the Jets are going to be a playoff team this year, and they've really got to make some big new moves in the draft this year and in the offseason next year for me to see them as a playoff team in 2022, which would be after this coming season. So yeah, that's the end of this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, follow the YouTube page for that Jarrett Stidham film review that'll come out Thursday. I'll be working on it tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday morning. It'll come out Thursday. Tune into that. Go check it out if you're interested in whether or not Jarrett Stidham can be the next Patriots franchise guy. But either way, thank you so much for tuning in. Follow the Instagram at Fifth Down Huddle for constant updates of when I post. And yeah, thank you for huddling up. I'll see you guys next time.